This man writes for the Marina Times. He actually has an article I just finished. It's kind of cool. I'm going to ask him about it. He comes and goes on a rainbow. He's the great culture blaster, Michael Snyder, everybody. Hi, Michael.
Good morning. I just want to set people straight. I'm not self-employed and scrambling for sporadic work. I'm artisanal.
I see. Is that the way you see it? Very nice.
God, by the way, I just want to say, this morning, I just finally got around to watching Charlie Chan and the Case of the Wonton Killings.
Oh, the Case of the Wonton. He's always topical, that Michael Snyder, always topical.
Delicious. By the way, happy Hispanic Heritage Month, right?
Oh, look at you.
I thank Hispanic culture for mole. That's it. I just wanted to say that. I love mole.
There's mucho más que esto. There's a lot more than this.
Very, very true.
All right.
You did bring up the fact that I write for the Marina Times.
You did this piece about the Bowie documentary.
Yeah, the front page of the Marina Times, the current issue. You can read.
Look at you on the front page.
You can read the piece on David Bowie and the new documentary Moon Age Daydream by just going to marinatimes.com if you're not within spitting distance of the marina in San Francisco, or you can just listen in right now. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Tell us about Moon Age Daydream.
So David Bowie, the sleek British musician and actor whose multifaceted career kind of achieved liftoff with the glam rock incarnation Ziggy Stardust in the 70s, passed away at the age of 69 in January of 2016. And, since he died, we're still listening to his music. His influence persists. There are all-star bands and reviews like San Francisco's own First Church of the Sacred Silver Sexual, who are playing shows that pay tribute to Bowie. By the way, the First Church includes the mega-talented Cat Robichaux and also Trixie Carr, local luminaries, local divas. But you know what? There have also been a spate of documentaries, and Moon Age Daydream, released in theaters today, especially in IMAX, and I recommend seeing it in IMAX if you can, basically is the first retrospective film to be approved by the superstar's estate. And it spans the length and the breadth of Bowie's career. This guy left a legacy of amazing recordings and movies, featuring a string of all these really cool personas. He was a teen rocker. He was a psychedelic shaman. He was like this androgynous alien band leader, soul man, techno rock aristocrat, dance pop gigolo. Anyway, Moon Age Daydream is at heart a celebration of this incredibly talented man, directed by Brett Morgan. It consists of interviews, archival news, and variety show clips, animated vignettes, and heretofore unseen concert and studio footage with many, many selections from Bowie's songbook, familiar stuff, alternate versions of tracks, a sprinkling of deep cuts, and the closest thing to narration is audio taken from Bowie himself expounding on his personal philosophy. So it's about the artist and his art.
Wow, that sounds really cool. That's no wonder you like it.
I did.
Thank you. I'm kind of excited to see it. It's only in theaters?
Only in theaters.
Moon Age Daydream.
It's very cool. And okay. It's kind of like an audiovisual collage, but very, very impactful. And I recommend it highly. Okay, The Woman King is, Mark...
Is based on a true story?
Yes, it is.
Wow, I love that.
And that story is one about the Agoji, an all-female warrior unit that protected the West African kingdom of Dahomey during the 17th to 19th centuries. The Dora Milaje, the warrior women of the fictional African nation of Wakanda in the Black Panther movie.
Yeah, that's right.
They were clearly based on the Agoji.
Yeah.
That's not fake. That's real.
Yeah.
African Amazons, man. Anyway, so The Woman King is about one unit of the Agoji dealing with white colonial slavers and enemies of Dahomey and its king. So it's a powerful, exciting, and revealing historical epic that centers on General Naniska, played by the great Viola Davis, as she teaches new recruits and rallies the troops to fend off aggressive neighboring tribes and protect Dahomey's citizens from being captured and sold into slavery. Dude, this is terrific stuff, and an eye-opening introduction to a culture and a way of life that we seldom see depicted on the big screen. Stories are now being told that would have been buried in the annals of the past, and that is something to cheer. And when the resulting movies are as good as The Woman King, by the way, directed with verve, by Gina Prince Blythewood, who did The Old Guard, the really cool kind of immortal superhero thing that was on Netflix starring Charlize Theron. Man, I'm totally on board. I really thought The Woman King rocked. It's in theaters this weekend.
Wow. Well, no, you're right. It doesn't have to be a long word. Okay, they feel verve should be a ding word. So
it's the name of a record label, Mark.
But I think that's a decent. I think it's a SAT. It could show up on SAT. Anyway, go ahead.
The Silent Twins is based on the true story of Jane and Jennifer Gibbons, twin sisters who lived with their Caribbean-born parents in the UK during the 1970s. The twist here is that the twins have only communicated with each other since they were toddlers. So it's a two-hander biopic that is strange and compelling, even as it's puzzling. Actually, two-hander isn't strictly accurate. Let me do the math. One set of twins who speak only with one another and share their strange imaginary flights of fancy that provide a little degree of comfort in a harsh world. So that would be a total of four hands. Okay, it's a four-hander. Anyway, as compelling as the movie is, especially when the little girls grow into their teens, are unable to assimilate into a regular school and are being, quote unquote, helped by social services, it's a little frustrating. And not only because of the twins' muttered, whispered, and heavily accented dialogue, watching what happens to them, you kind of hope that somebody, somehow, can get through to them. And what transpires is in large part heartbreaking. But the whole project is so fascinating and well acted, especially by Letitia Wright, speaking of Black Panther. She plays Shuri in Black Panther. And Tamara Lawrence, these actresses playing the twins from their teenage years to young adulthood. The Silent Twins was directed by Poland's Agnieszka Smozinska. And she creates this dreamlike narrative that brings you into the twins' bizarre inner lives. I thought The Silent Twins was, like I said, fascinating. It's in theaters.
And by the way, again, that's a true story as well.
It is indeed.
A biopic. So, okay, go ahead.
All right, let's get to a narrative that is not a true story but reflects the real world. In God's Country, a black professor with tragedy in her past lives alone in a remote house some miles outside the rural college town where she teaches. It's Christmas break, and she's hunkered down in her snowy mountain home for the holidays when she sees a pair of hunters on her land without her permission. Her attempt to stop these local yahoos from trespassing sets the story into relentless motion. The result is a very seductive and atmospheric thriller that draws you in with a mesmerizing lead performance by Thandiwe Newton. You know her from Westworld as Maeve, and here she's the professor, and there's a simmering sense of danger that permeates the entire enterprise. The cinematography is stunning. It captures the stark beauty of the surroundings, and the implied political, class, and racial issues underlying the story are dealt with in very accomplished fashion. I'd go so far as to say that God's Country, handily directed and co-written by Julian Higgins, is like a classic tale of the American West, as, a lone settler has to deal with a potential siege situation when the locals don't quite take to her. Or maybe the professor's being paranoid. You're going to have to see the movie to find out, and I recommend you do.
And where can I see it?
God's Country is in theaters now and available for streaming on October 4th.
Oh, I actually am quite intrigued by that.
All right, let's move on. A dryly witty good time homage to Agatha Christie. See How They Run is a comedic whodunit set during the theatrical run of Miss Christie's immortal play The Mousetrap in London's West End Theatre District during the 1950s. And yes, there's a murder. Anyway, right when the company is celebrating a planned movie version of the play that may or may not feature some of the actors from the stage version, someone is killed. So it has really spiffy period elements and a cast that seems to be having a ball, which is kind of infectious. Sam Rockwell, my old neighbor from Russian Hill, plays the jaded, hard-pressed Scotland Yard Inspector Stoppard, as in playwright Tom Stoppard, on the homicide case, assisted by the over-eager novice Constable Stalker, and she's diligent, played by Saoirse Ronan. Plus, you get a fussy David Oyelowo, a conniving Adrian Brody, Ruth Wilson, Shirley Henderson, and more.
Wow.
It's directed by Tom George and kind of played somewhat over the top and self-aware, which befits a postmodern take on a warhorse like The Mousetrap. Ultimately, it's piffle that won't necessarily stick with you after watching, and it's not what we'd call uproariously funny, but it is fun. See How They Run is in theaters.
Wow. This is quite the class of films you've come with today.
You know, let's talk about something you don't care about.
Let's talk about it in 15 seconds.
We will. It's a horror movie. I know you don't like horror movies.
Well, I can't watch them. It's disturbing. But I know they're a viable genre. Don't get me wrong.
There was a horror movie, X, which was released earlier this year, and the young actress Mia Goth revealed herself to be one of the most gifted of her generation, working today with a performance so subtle and deep that I'd be offended if she doesn't get some kind of awards recognition this year. And that goes double after seeing Goth's work in Pearl, which is a prequel to X and the second movie in a trilogy from director-screenwriter Ty West and his leading lady. X was set in 1978. A swaggering porn producer is overseeing the production of The Farmer's Daughter on a small rural Texas farm, getting access by paying the elderly couple. Goth, who happens to be a Brit, by the way, in her mid-20s, with an upscale movie pedigree, plays the producer's girlfriend, who's an aspiring kind of trailer trashy porn star. And things get sexed up, then gored up, and to say more would kind of ruin the delights of X. Pearl, which opens this weekend, is about the denizens of that farmhouse during the period of the First World War, when Pearl, the title character, played by Goth in a screen-commanding manner, aspires to Hollywood stardom while bristling under the yoke of her immigrant mom and infirm dad. And
you're down to 5% battery.
Waiting for her soldier boy husband to come back from the front lines.
It's Pearl.
Oh, it was terrific.
In theaters?
In theaters, and X is available for streaming, and Mia Goth is a star.
Pearl is the prequel to X. You can find it in theaters. See how they run the Agatha Christie homage. That's in theaters. And a little over the top and spies. I felt like you're okay with it.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, exactly. God's Country, the black professor, tragedy in her past, lives in a rural area, seductive and atmospheric.
Loved it.
Gandhi and Newton, racial, political, class issues. It's all there. That's in theaters. You like that. The Silent Twins, the biopic, that's in theaters. And you more or less like that. I feel like it was more like you were leaning toward less.
No, it was okay. It's just,
Okay, all right. The Woman King in theaters. Viola Davis, based on the true story. He really liked
many
that.
thumbs up.
Moonage Daydream.
Moonage.
What did I say?
Serious Moonage here. Moonage Daydream.
Moonage. I'm so sorry.
Based on the Bowie song.
I'm looking at the clock. I'm
You're
in
down
trouble.
to 5% battery.
All right.
What?
Okay, get off my back. You can read them. Anyway, I read about the Marina Times. You can read about the Marina Times. You can also follow on social media, The Culture Blaster. It comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael. Bye. KGO 810.